So as we start our problem, noticing that this is a law of sines setup type of problem, and when we do law of sines correctly, we want to check if this guy set up his equation correctly. Notice your angle of 70 right here, and the side across from it, the x squared is what we should be solving for, and the cosine of the 70 is at the very end, so that is good to go. The two angle measures we have both left and right of that angle. Those should be the ones that are appearing here and squared, and those two numbers appear one more time here and here in the equation. So far, so good. In the second line, let's see if he made a mistake. What's the connection between lines 1 and 2? It looks like right here he took those two numbers and added them together before squaring. I think you realize as well as I that that's a big no-no. See if I can get this to erase. Nope, not today. So actually, he's supposed to take these two numbers, of course, and do the squaring before the adding. So this is one mistake right here. So if we follow through what goes on afterward, this number actually is 515 squared, so that is actually what he should have done next. And the rest of our equation just follows down below from above. So I guess if this would have been correct, he would be okay continuing the way he is. What is the procedure going from line 3 to line 4? How did he get from 3 to 4? I think if you check on a calculator, it looks like he probably subtracted these two numbers to get the number in front of the cos of 70. And if you check that out on a machine, I believe you do find out that's true. Is there something wrong with that step? I think it's pretty quick that we realize there's subtracting going on and there's a multiplication here connecting these two. And order of opposites, we do have to do multiplying first. So he should have calculated this before he subtracted. So there's another error. Multiply before subtracting. Okay, from that point, I assume going from here to here, the multiplication was fine. I don't believe we have any issues coming up with that answer. And then from here to here, square rooting to get that final answer, I believe that number 213.2 is indeed the square root of 454.63.028. So, two mistakes in total. Now, how should this really have gone? So let's have a peek back up at the start. His beginning was actually quite good. He set the problem up correctly. So we can basically use our starting point from number 1 and begin there. So that gives us, what was that, a squared or b squared? X squared we called it. Okay, so x squared equals 270 squared plus 245 squared minus 2 times 270 times 245 times cos of 70. And now here, instead of making his silly mistake, let's actually square these two up first and then add them. It looks like we end up with 132,925. You can always pause the video, of course, at any time to substantiate the numbers I'm throwing your way. Then we also would like to take this value and calculate that out because we need to subtract that number. When you calculate that all together, we end up with 45,249.26496. A little overzealous with the numbers, but the more the merrier. We're not going to round till the very end, of course, to keep accuracy as high as possible. With the subtraction, we end up with 87,000. 675.735. And of course, square rooting, we end up with a number that is different than his answer. We get about 296.1 yards for that distance. So if they were planning any kind of a building project or spanning across the lake there with any kind of